And welcome everyone. So we're going to go over a client line reporting for you guys. And there are a lot of different options in here, just depending on how many reports you want to run. There's detailed reports, summary reports. We can pull statements, and you can just kind of look at a dashboard to look at your deposits and things. So I'm just going to run through those processes on here. When you first log into www.myclientline.net, that's going to bring you to this screen here. If you haven't enrolled already, you can easily do that. You basically just click this enroll button, and there's these 3 steps that you'll do. You'll need your merchant ID number and some information on your account to enter here. And then that will send you a temporary login so that you are able to log into Client Line for your account on this screen. You would just click Merchant Login. And that's going to take you to your sign-in page where you will enter the username that the system gives you when you sign up. And your password. If you have it, when you first get your temporary password, it'll ask you to change it, and that way you can make it whatever you want. And so it's going to have your name at the top, and it's going to pop up with this box asking you if you want to receive emails with these daily reports in them. So your daily account summary, your dispute activity summary, which would be for any chargebacks that you might receive. And you can also sign up to get your monthly statement emailed to you. When setting up your accounts, if you put your email address on the application, we would set that statements to automatically be emailed to you, so you don't have to sign up for that here. But you can if you want to add another email address to your profile for that. So you could just click register now and sign up for these. Otherwise, you can click remind me later or no thanks. So I'm going to say remind me later. And that's going to bring you to your home screen here. So to go to your client line reporting, you would just hover over this applications drop-down menu and click on client line reporting. And that's going to bring you to a summary page that shows you the information from the past 7 days. So you can see it gives you the date range up here. So this is January 12th to the 18th. And this is the 7-day range showing your sales for the week here. So it shows the date, the number of transactions, and the total amount that you ran. And then down here in the lower half of the page, it will show you what was actually submitted to your bank for deposit. So it will show you, you can see on the 12th, there was 1 transaction for $675. And on the 12th, $675 was submitted for my sales. There were no fees taken out. And the total, so my total deposit was $675. So you can kind of check this page for a quick rundown to see your sales for the week and to kind of just make sure the amount that you submitted through your merchant ID is actually the same amount that's getting submitted to the bank. Now, if you have any questions about something not matching here or you're not sure what that deposit includes, you can always click on the red underlined links or dates to get more information. So anything that's underlined in red is like a hyperlink to the next to get into it so you can look at some more information. So I'm going to click on that date just so we can see what kind of information you can get from here.
While it's loading, I'll explain. If you've received a statement already, then you've noticed that it came from an email address that said business track. So you'll see up in the top corner there, this whole portal is called Business Track, and Client Line is the module that you're using for your reporting, so that you can recognize that. If you haven't received the statement and you'll get your first one next month, then you'll look for an email that comes from Business Track.
All right. Thanks, Stacy. And so you can see here, this just shows you the date that it was funded, January 15th. And you can, again, click on this. It shows your checking account number if you want to see what actual cards and transactions were included in that. So I'm going to click on that again. So this is one way to look at your funding. This is best if you're just looking at one day or curious about one transaction. I'll show you other ways on how to actually run a report so that you can see all of your transactions. So I'm going to click on this one more time just to show you guys how this will show you the card numbers that were in the deposit for that day. So if you think, you know, if you ran a Visa transaction and you think it might be missing, you can look in here to make sure it was included. And you can see up here, if you ever need to go backwards, you can click on one of these to get back, say, to the weekly overview or to your bank deposit summary. These also hyperlink back to where you started and kind of show how you got here. While this is running, I'll just show you. And then these also have drop-down menus. So the reports menu, you can create a report. You can go to your reports mailbox so that any report you have run goes into that mailbox. There's monthly statements. And then you can also go here to this, if you click on the search button, which I'll show you in a minute, you can search for a transaction by card type. So if you ran a refund and you want to make sure the refund went through, you can search all the transactions and refunds and anything that went through if you have the last 4 numbers of the card number. And I apologize, this is taking a little bit longer than usual.
I don't think this report's going to pull.
No, yeah. I was going to say, I think my computer's having issues processing this today, but basically it would just bring up, like I said, all the different card numbers that were included in that, in this deposit, and it'll show you the transaction date and the amounts. So I apologize, my computer's not cooperating fully today, but I don't want you guys to sit here and watch my computer spin. So, so let me go back here just to show you how to run a report. So you just click on this. Oh, and there it is. I just had to talk bad about my computer to make it actually work. So this is just what it shows you, and you can see the card number is right here. You can't see all the full card number, but you always on your receipt or should have those last 4 digits. And it shows you the transaction date here, the authorization code, and how it was entered. So that is how you can kind of click into the links to get to that last page. So if you're going to create a report, you just click on Create a Report here. And there are a lot of different options. The main reports that people use are usually under Sales and Funding. You have the option of kind of coming in here and playing with these other reports if you're interested in any of this other information. But most of the daily, weekly, monthly reports that people run, you'll find under the Sales and Funding reports. So let's just take a look at a transaction report. And it's going to have your merchant ID number here. And this drop-down menu is always going to say location. So if you get an error message, that's always something to check. Just make sure this drop-down menu says location and it has your merchant ID number in there. And then the date type, you can check by transaction date, the date that it was submitted to the network, or the date that it was actually funded to your bank. So you have those 3 different options. I'm just going to check by transaction date here. You can run a summary report or a detail report. So I'll go ahead and run a detail, and let's say I just want to know for this past week, Monday through today, what transactions were ran. You can run it for a month, you can run it for 3 months, it's just kind of up to you. I always keep these defaulted just so that you make sure you don't miss anything, unless you're trying to run something and you just want to know what your Visa sales were. Then you could uncheck all of the other boxes and just use Visa. So I'm just going to click next down here. Another thing to keep in mind is this next button, if it's grayed out and it doesn't let you click on it, that just means there's information missing somewhere that you need to fill in. So I'm going to click next, and I am going to run the report now. You also have the option to schedule the report, and that's if you would like to get an email of the report daily, weekly, or monthly. You can set it up however you want, but let's just take a look at it and run now. Does anyone have questions right now while I'm waiting for this? No.
I do have a question. This is Susan from the Jewish Federation in Somerset County. We are just transferring over to this like most of the people are, and I've been accessing a lot of reports through authorize.net. Is that the same information that I'm getting?
So it should be the same information. Sorry, I'll let you answer, Stacy. Oh, I was just going to say it should be the same information as far as the transactions go. But as far as this reporting shows more of the funding side of it. So the authorize.net's capturing all the transactions you run, and then it's sending it to us. And this reporting is more for the deposit funding side of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
And authorize.net also doesn't have any of they don't bill you your fees, you're billed through us. So this is where you'll find your monthly statements. They have a drop down on authorize.net where you'll see statements, but you won't have any there since they're billing us and we're billing you. So you'll be able to pull statement history in this tool, funding detail, and then you're able to export some of these reports and schedule them. And I think that's a little bit unique from authorize.net as well. They're both useful. And if you're in authorize.net more frequently, then that might be sufficient for most of your needs. But occasionally, if you need to see that something made it to your bank account, or you need to reconcile the amount that went into your bank account to see what was part of that batch, it'll show you. This reporting is where you'll find that information.
Okay, and this reporting with Business Track just shows the account number. It doesn't marry it to the person's name. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It won't have any of the cardholder's information. It just has the card information.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. So the report did come through, and you can see it shows you the transaction date for each transaction. It'll show you the batch number for those transactions, the submit date, and the funded date, so that you know this was submitted to your bank for funding on this date. So this account is helpful for that. It also shows the card number and then the total at the bottom. Up here in the corner, you can see that you can export these reports into PDF or CSV or HTML or Excel. So if you just click on one of these buttons, it's going to export this report into that format. That way you can save it or email it for if you need to for other uses. Otherwise, if you just look at it in here, it will show up in that report's mailbox. So that's one of the reports to run, and then the other report, which I don't think I necessarily need to run it to show you guys because it's basically in the same format, but it is the funding report. So if you ever want to look at your deposits from last month or you know, what was submitted to your bank every day, you can click on this bank deposits report, and then it's the same information. You're obviously going to do funded date, and then you can do a detail or a summary, the date range, click next. You can see it's kind of grayed out and won't let me do it because I'm missing information, and then just run now. So it's kind of the same process. You guys can kind of go in and run one of those just to see what it looks like. And then, like I said, you have all these other options as well. I guess I'll just pretend like I'm running this so I can show you scheduling a report. So if you want to do a weekly report from Sunday to Saturday, you would put in that week-long date. If it's only a daily report, you would just put in the 6th to the 6th. And once you click next, and you can go to schedule a report, and this gives you the option to select the frequency. So do you want it daily, weekly, monthly? We wanted it weekly, and what date you wanted the report to start on. So I want it to start on Sunday, let's say. And then you can select your format if you want it PDF or Excel. And the delivery method, once you put email, it gives you the option to email up to 3 email addresses here to send that report to. So if you have anyone looking to get daily, weekly, or monthly reports, you can set that all up right here. And then down here in the corner, you would just click submit, and it'll set up that report for you. And then, like Stacy was mentioning earlier, you can pull your monthly statement from here. You just click on this monthly statement box. You put in your statement type. You might have to click on something else before it lets you choose statements. I'm not sure why, but choose monthly statements. And then you're always going to do the location so that it pulls your merchant ID number statement and then whatever year you're looking at. And it'll show the statements, all the statements for the whole year. So this is a great spot if you need to pull all of them. You just click on whichever one. I could say I want to look at November. And it pulls up your processing statement here for you to look at. And then, of course, you can save it if you'd like to just by clicking File, Save. You can print it whatever format you want there. So pretty easy and straightforward to pull a statement. And then the last thing I wanted to go over was just how to search a card type. You can just go under this search, press on this search button here. So if you have someone questioning how much they were charged and you don't have the receipt and you want to check to see if they were charged or refunded, you can click cardholder activity. You can search by transactions, authorizations, chargebacks, or retrievals. Put in the date. I usually would recommend putting in a date range just in case maybe you ran it one day, but it didn't quite hit the network till the next. So let's say I'm going to look for that whole week again. And then for the card holder type, I'm going to put card number, and I'm going to put last 4 digits. That way I could put in the last 4 digits of the card number and choose the card type, which I'll just choose all of them. You don't have to narrow it down for them if you're not sure. Oh, and I didn't put my date type. So notice I didn't put my date type and it's not letting me click submit here. So that's how you know something's missing. So I'm going to say transaction date. Then it would let you click the submit button. I kind of made up a number, so it's not going to show up. But once you click submit, it's going to bring up that transaction, show you the last 4 digits or the card number and the actual transaction amount. So that's if you wanted to search a card number. If you ever want to go back to the main screen, you can just go to this overview button and click weekly. And it brings you back to that screen that we started on, showing the weekly sales and the deposits. If you ever want to change the dates up here, you can. It will only do it for a 7-day date range though. So you notice if I change this to the 11th, it's going to automatically change the start date to the 5th. And if you click submit here, then it's going to show that week for you here. And I think I covered pretty much everything. Like I said, you guys can go in and play around in there. There's more detailed reports. I don't want to go over every report with you, but if you have any questions, like Stacy said, you can just send us an email or give us a call. We'd be happy to help. And Stacy, I'm not sure if you have anything to add or if you know of anything that I missed.
No, I was just going to mention that there's also, if you have somebody new that comes on board on your teams, I included in the original newsletter that included these trainings, there's a link to a demo. You have to be signed into Client Line for that link to work. Otherwise, it takes you to the sign-in page, and when you click, and when you actually sign in, it forgets that you had clicked that link, so it doesn't take you to the demo. So sign in first to Client Line and then click that link. I'll send it out again when I do the final just notes and frequently asked questions, and I'll resend that link. You'll want to keep it on file if you have somebody new and you just want to get them familiar. It's a self-paced demo that they can kind of click through and get a basic overview of Client Line as well. And we'll post this video as well. Are there any other questions? I think we're good then. Thank you guys for joining again. I appreciate it. And Carrie, thank you for facilitating. It's very helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you.